I'm Alex.
And I'm Shane.
And this is the RPM podcast.
So today, breaking news. Sir Frank Williams and Claire Williams stepped down from the Williams team after the Italian Grand Prix. Came through about 3 hours ago on Twitter. I think they posted a link to their website and a couple of videos from Claire and the team itself. And we're here to discuss it, tell you what the breaking news is, and give you our thoughts and opinions. So, Alex, initial reactions.
Well, I think the first thing to say about this is to acknowledge what it is that they have achieved. This is 40 years of the Williams family in Formula One. It's one of the most successful teams in the sport's history.
Yep.
9 constructors championships, 7 drivers championships, 114 race victories. This has all been seen under Frank's helmsmanship. I think most people probably think of the 90s period where they dominated. We talked a bit about that in our last roundup.
We did, didn't we? Yeah.
The active suspension that wowed everybody and, made them such a force during that era. So initial reaction is that it is kind of sad to see the end of the last family team, but that also this is, maybe a necessary move, or they certainly felt that it was necessary. As Claire did say, she did use the words "over my dead body" in regards to the sale of the team. So maybe they saw this as their only option now that the transition to the ownership for Dorilton Capital has now begun.
Yeah, I completely agree. It is mixed feelings. Like you said, the team was founded in 1977, so over 40 years ago now, and they've had great success. Unfortunately, their last win was back in 2012.
Maldonado, right?
Yes, yeah. Yes, it was. And yeah, I think it's mixed reactions across the whole paddock. Even some drivers have taken to social media and mentioned that it's sad to see that the family team has gone, and it will still race under the Williams name, which we'll get onto in a minute. But Daniel Ricciardo's mentioned on social media that it's sad to see what's happened, and they hope the team can recover from the last couple of years and become good again. Obviously, George, current racing driver for Williams, has said that it's a shame, but he looks forward to what's going to happen over the next couple of years. Claire herself put a video on Twitter, and it was quite personal. The only way I can describe it for our audio listeners is, if you haven't watched it already, is imagine listening to someone who's on the edge of crying constantly. Like they've got a massive lump in their throat. That was Claire making this video. So she posted a very personal video on Twitter under the Williams Twitter handle, personally thanking their teams and the fans for all the good times in the past. She admits it's been a very tough decision to take a step back and resign from her post, and obviously Frank has followed. However, with the introduction of the new investment company, both Claire and Frank thought it would be a good idea to let the new owners have a fresh start. She goes on to thank the investment company for their support over the last couple of weeks and looks forward to seeing where the team goes from now. What I think is really good is that for the time being, and I don't know the ins and outs of the contract, but the Williams name will remain. So that would be nice. It does this investment company, where they would, it does them good to race under Williams because it is a successful team. People need to look past the last 10 years and, look back into the 90s, and then you realize how successful they were. Like you said, we've already touched on it on the last RPM roundup, that their time in the 90s was Mercedes-like dominance. So I think they'll keep the name for the time being. Well, it's been confirmed that they will, but not sure how long for.
It would be very surprising if they changed the name, because, like you say, it's kind of a brand in its own right.
Yeah,
and McLaren are still McLaren, even though Bruce McLaren died in 1970 or something.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, I get what you mean.
They can still maintain. It doesn't necessarily mean the end of the identity as well, because they still have a family atmosphere. This is still a team that does it as much itself as it can.
Of course, because all the parts are constructed by Williams. They want, I don't know if we touched on this in the last podcast, but every bit of that car is manufactured by Williams, which is a tremendous amount of work and is what they believed in. Given their workers or their factory staff jobs to do, they wanted to retain that kind of family sense, which I guess will continue because obviously with this new financial backing, they'll retain all their staff, which is good, and they're not looking to move at all. So everything will be kept happening in Grove. It is Grove, isn't it?
The other thing that's a shame as well, just Well, you're talking about Claire's sort of emotional message, and understandably so, is that it's also sad that such a prominent female figure in the sport is gone.
Yes.
And whilst I've no doubt that there are, and we can see that there are many hardworking and fiercely intelligent and competitive women in Formula One, she was a very public figure because of who she was and the job that she had.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of a shame that she's gone from that position as well. And we've seen that there are lots of really talented women in lots of the other teams. So hopefully they too will rise up into that position, and more women will take her place.
I completely agree. Claire has actually ran many a campaign before, in the past, fighting for, not equal rights in the sport. That's what everyone's been fighting for to get more women coming through, take the stand and really push for a bit more of diversity up in the team principal area. And she's done a great job.
It's a very difficult role that she's had, and she's received a lot of criticism, some of which has been not very fair, and I don't think would have been directed at someone if it had been a bloke. Some of it has been a little bit pointed. So yeah, she's had a very difficult job. However, and we've kind of touched on this as well, it's not sort of all Claire's fault, but we touched in the last episode how Williams have got to kind of get with the program a little bit as a team because they have been a little bit stubborn and they've kind of failed to adapt over the years. So now with this Dorilton Capital investment, and it is a new era for the team and they need to get back to their competitive ways again. So who do you think's going to fill the position?
You know what? I haven't even thought of that. I have no idea.
It's going to be Vettel's new role. Vettel's not going to drive.
Oh my goodness.
He's going to take up the Williams team principal role.
That's... I'm surprised I haven't seen that on social media already,
I mean, he has zero ties to the team as far as I know.
He's just bought an old Williams car as well, has he not?
Oh, yeah, he has. Yeah, that's right.
Has. It's all come together.
Ah, cat's out the bag.
You've heard it here first.
Yeah.
But seriously, who do I think's going to take over? Oof. Depends. Do they stick within the paddock? Do they stick within the Formula, the FIA kind of Formula directory? As in, will they look at Formula 2? Will they look at Formula 3? Will they go external? Will they bring in someone who looks at the sport as a business instead of a race engineer? Or do you know what I mean? Depends what way you want to. You can run the team in two ways. You can be the diehard race fan who's lived and breathed racing their whole life and have gone through the ranks and at the top. Or you can look at someone externally and think, well, this is a business. This is what we need. We need sponsors. We need this. We need that. So they could go at it two ways. I think there's a couple of people in Formula 2 who could jump up. A couple of teams there doing really well, and I'm sure they'll take the opportunity to race under or to work under the Williams name. But it wouldn't surprise me with an investment company of this magnitude, whether they've already got someone lined up from a business sense. Maybe it'll be two roles. I don't know. They're probably going to hire a lot of people in the next couple of weeks, but we'll find out after the Italian Grand Prix. When we hit the second Italian Grand Prix.
Yeah.
We'll find out who's in the paddock.
I think the most Williams thing to do would be to promote from within. So it would make sense for them to take someone like...
Latifi.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Yeah. Well, he might be better at that than he is as a driver. I think Simon Roberts joined Williams fairly recently from McLaren to be their COO, I believe.
Yeah, you're right.
So it might make sense for someone like him to take over because he already knows. Experience. Yeah, he's got experience. So he already knows lots of people in the team. I think we touched on this before about the buyout, that if this Dorilton Capital lot don't have any experience with motorsport, and it doesn't seem like they do, they need to just leave that all to people who already understand the sport. They probably want to have a business nous on it. It makes me think of someone like Zach Brown at McLaren, who is a really good business head, but he's got the brilliance of Seidel there to really manage the team and understand what's necessary to make the cars competitive, etc. So, yeah, I think it would make sense to go for someone like Simon Roberts, or, like you mentioned, within the FIA sphere, could be someone like, some people have mentioned Trevor Carlin, in Formula
yep.
2. But yeah, I think they should give it to Vettel still. That's still what I think.
It won't be long before we find out. Maybe Vettel will jump out one car and jump into a different kind of seat.
Yeah.
On the paddock.
We could also still have I was going to say that we could still have a family team, in Formula 1. Like, we could keep Haas. Like, Gene Haas might pass it on, but I don't think he has any kids. So...
Oh, true.
I don't know. I couldn't find... I did look it up to see if he has any kids, but I can't find it. Maybe the guy, he's just... Maybe he keeps it private. Doesn't want to tell everyone, but...
I often forget about Haas and their existence.
But that could be a family team. Like, it's not necessarily...
It could be. It could be the start of something amazing.
Yeah.
You never know where the sport's going to go. It's an ever-changing sport, like you said. Like Williams were on top in the 90s, and you had Red Bull and Ferrari in the 90s and the early 2000s, and now you've got Mercedes dominant. So give it maybe a year, 2022, and we'll see another team at the top. Could be Haas. You heard it here first. You hear a lot of things here first.
Yeah, you hear a lot of things here first, and then probably never again.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's kind of sad news, understandably quite emotional, end of an era, but Williams have found themselves in a position where it's adapt or die, and fortunately they have chosen, for better or worse, for the Williams family themselves, they've chosen to adapt. And hopefully we will see a new and improved Williams in the coming seasons, but with a focus on the new regulations and hopefully a brand new vibe to the team. They can get back to some winning ways.
That would be absolutely fantastic. There's nothing which would give me more pleasure than watching Williams hit the top again. Yeah. Like you said, anything's possible. And we'll just leave it there.
Okay. Well, thanks very much for joining us for this shorter roundup today, just covering that little bit of news there. Tell us your thoughts. If you have anything that we might have missed, if you've got any of the latest gossip, things move so quickly and they're like on Twitter that I can barely keep up myself. So if there's anything we've missed, do let us know. You can get in touch with us at RacePerMinute on Twitter and Instagram, and get in touch with us either on the website, raceperminute.com, or email address is info@raceperminute.com. You can also follow us individually. I'm at Cottrell Music, and Shane is at Shane57F1. And we hope to see you at the next episode. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.